More importantly, isn't just about masks. It's about that larger conversation that's going on in the country about any number of things, really. So
what changed?
For us,
Yeah.
We've been tracing, like I said, in the absence of any direction from the state, we began to do our own research and try to make some decisions that would serve our students the best. And the Michigan chapter of the American Association of Pediatrics has issued a pretty strong endorsement for masks. And as you can appreciate, there's a lot of debate right now over the issue that masks are strongly recommended. So they're not required, but they're strongly recommended. That really puts us in a difficult position. So we sought to do some of our own work, and if you look at what the pediatrics group has put out, they're endorsing it for all students as a means of mitigating the spread of the disease.
Endorsing a mandate or endorsing?
Endorsing that masks should be worn by children in school. And I think the word mandate is irrelevant for them, just given they're looking at it from a health perspective.
You know, how difficult of a position have you been put in with a lack of guidance from or directive from the state?
Yeah, what's challenging for us is for much of last year, we had been getting regular executive orders and different things, and then through the state, some of the governor's powers were taken away and things and so on, and then some of it moved to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. So we were getting a regular stream of guidance, and this year, in the absence of it, it has been challenging because my main concern is without the guidance, it really puts a lot of what I would consider our good moms and dads and community members who serve on boards of education in a really difficult position to make decisions about a medical issue such as critical as a mask or whatnot. So that's partly what drove us to try to pursue and understand the best and latest information that we have. The pediatrics information is very compelling.
What would you say, and I'm sure you've been watching some of these school board meetings that have gotten very heated across the country, what would you say to parents who feel very strongly that this should be a decision that they make for their child?
What I would say is there's another side to that coin, and that is when you consider there's no vaccine available for children younger than 12, well, they too don't have a choice. So it really becomes who goes without the choice. And in our situation, given as I mentioned, many students live in larger families with students who are older and whatnot. And when you consider that the vaccine is not available for them, they too don't have that choice. So when, as someone whose primary focus is to protect our children, I think about erring on the side of caution and making masks necessary until the vaccine is available for children. And then at that point, it would be an opportunity to reevaluate. But the whole issue of choice really gets corrupted when you counter it with the fact that if you don't require it, you have all these children coming to school who don't have that choice. So in either case, it's, as we've come to appreciate, we're really in a no-win situation given how polarized this issue is.
This doesn't mean that masks will remain mandatory for the entire school year. This is a fluid situation?
Very much so. Like you and many others, we eagerly await information on when the vaccine for children would become available. And by all accounts, the vaccine has been extraordinarily successful in adults who have received it in terms of the symptoms and how severe it is. So in a similar way, if it gets approved for children and we experience that same type of benefit, we very much could be in a position to revisit our mask mandate sometime during the school year.
I know there's going to be a lot of parents who are happy with this decision and they're going to feel a sense of relief. Yeah. I also know there's going to be a bunch of parents who are going to be really angry. Yeah. What do you want to say to those parents who are angry?
I just want them to know that, as I mentioned, my number one priority as superintendent is to protect our children. And I do appreciate their right to a choice and so on, but the reality is we have hundreds of students, maybe even thousands of students in our district who have asthma, many underlying conditions, and when I think about those children not having the choice to get vaccinated, I have to prioritize that first in the mix of starting school.
And I can appreciate how heavily you've weighed the recommendation by the Pediatrics Association. You seem to be following science.
Especially given how much science there is available. And I have to tell you, one of the most fascinating things that's happened to me recently is I've had conversations with different people about science. And given our culture right now has this incredible ability to rapidly communicate misinformation, I'm dealing with information about masks and things from all different sources, some of which the information is 30 years old. And it's tough to draw conclusions on that. And then when you push that back to the sort of the cultural divide we're living in, unfortunately, regardless of the issue, things tend to get clumped into different camps. And so for us, it really is about trying to follow the science as best we can. And the last thing I'll say on that point is, as a father of children, when my kids were sick, I took them to the pediatrician, and we always did what the pediatrician recommended. And when I think about the Michigan chapter of the Pediatric Association, a pretty respectable group of, I think there's like 1,500 of them in Michigan, are endorsing masks. For me, being the protector of children here, it seems like the right thing to do.
And final question, knowing, just the debate that this is going to spark and the anger, was this an easy decision to come to?
No, none whatsoever. And it really is, unfortunately, symbolic of the times we're living in. But I want all parents in our community to know that regardless of the issue, I've had an extraordinary number of conversations with our Board of Education. And for me, much like all the school safety issues that we deal with, this really and truly is about protecting children, and it needs to be our highest priority.